Our guest today is Illinois State Treasurer. He is the state's Chief Investment Officer. Our guest today was born and raised in the small Champaign County farming community of Gifford, Illinois. He graduated from Rantoul Township High School, doctor, listen to this, and went on to Yale University, graduating in 1995. Our guest today served on the Champaign County Board and in the Illinois State Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Frerichs. Michael? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I was told that I needed to adjust the microphones. Are we good now? It is a pleasure to be here today at City Club. I want to thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you, Paul Green. I guess in honor of Cinco de Mayo. Gracias, Pablo Verde. Okay. He told me he spoke a few words of Spanish, so that's all we'll do. It is a pleasure to be here today. My name is Michael Frerichs. I am the Illinois State Treasurer. And for those of you still wondering, yes, the election is over now. We enjoyed the campaign so much, we just didn't want it to end. It took about 2 weeks before all of the votes were counted and we were declared the winner. And many of the people involved in that process and who helped before that process are here today. And to those of you who helped me get here, thank you very much. I really love this job. Now, thank you. So it really is a pleasure to be here at City Club, but the bigger honor was already bestowed on me during lunch. I'm going to deviate from script here a little bit because I received my first award. This is, it's called a Polly. It is for the best, let me see the lighting here, TV candidate division for down ballot statewide race. We won the gold Polly, equivalent, I guess, of the Emmy or Oscar in the political advertising world. And my media team is here today. Now, I want to thank them very much because I get to walk all over the state and people say, I know you. You're the cat guy. You help get cats out of trees. That and invest a little money for the state. It's good to be back here at the City Club. The last time I was here was for a debate. That debate, I think, garnered more publicity than the entire rest of the campaign did, Paul.
Got you elected.
It did, thank you. Now, there were a lot of people who said that, I got more publicity during the vote counting than I did before Election Day. I said because, well, quite frankly, a lot of people don't appreciate the office like I do, don't find it as exciting as I do. And I think that's because most people just don't understand what the state treasurer does. I think, Kurt, you probably found similar things with city treasurer. Now, I get asked every day, I'm pretty sure people don't understand because they ask me every day, what is it you do? I tell them I'm the chief investment officer for the state of Illinois. And they say, I know, but the state is broke. What do you do all day? Now, I'm really excited to be a state treasurer, and we do have important things we do. And so I want to talk to you today a little bit about what our office does, what we've done in our first 100 days, and what we plan to do going forward. Share with you our vision. So first off, some basics. As the state's chief investment officer, we're responsible for investing about $25 billion. That breaks down to about $13 billion in state funds, about $7 billion in college savings funds, and about $5 billion in pooled state and municipal assets through Illinois funds. Our Illinois funds invest for about 2,200 state agencies and municipalities around the state to make sure that they receive a safe and secure investment tool. Because we think that by working together and pooling our money, participating agencies and state and local governments can save money and time. And they also avail themselves of investment tools that wouldn't be open to them if they were investing alone. Not every municipality is large as the city of Chicago and gets to have its own city treasurer. Now, we also help their constituents directly through a program called ePay, which allows local governments to accept credit cards and other forms of electronic payment online or in person. More than 800 units of local government avail themselves of ePay. In March, we handled more than 600,000 transactions. That was about $162 million came through. It makes it easier for our residents to pay their bills to the county, to the state, or the local government. And it's a small convenience, but allows them a little extra time to spend with their family, to spend with their friends. And it's a small convenience, but we know that small things matter. And when it comes to unclaimed property, there are an awful lot of small things there. But what you can't deny is that, however, the total value of unclaimed properties is large. Our Unclaimed Property Division aims to reunite with its rightful owners more than $2 billion in lost and forgotten property. These are items that come from a forgotten safety deposit box or a last payroll check that just wasn't cashed when someone moved. Now, last year, about 1 in 4 people who went to our website found that they had unclaimed property. So no, you don't have to pull your phones out right now, but take note. IllinoisTreasurer.gov. You can go and look and see if you have unclaimed property. Now, chances are it's not going to be there, but the odds are pretty good at 1 in 4. You might find something at IllinoisTreasurer.gov. And it's not always so small. The average amount that people find on our website is about $1,000. And it's more common than you think, because annually we reconnect people with their unclaimed or abandoned property to the tune of about $130 to $150 million. Now, and every year we bring in about $250 million into our Unclaimed Property Division. Now, the Treasurer's Office also manages programs to help businesses and entrepreneurs in the state of Illinois. Illinois has used Technology Development Accounts, or TDAs, since 2006. TDAs invest in venture capital funds that prioritize Illinois investments. This is not picking winners and losers. This is not giving funds directly to a company. It's an investment tool that pays a good return and helps create jobs and further support our state's emergence as a tech hub. TDA 1 invested in about 83 Illinois companies, and we expect TDA 2 to do even better. To create jobs right here in Illinois, and to fulfill the dream of starting a company. Investments that not only will lead to more jobs, but hopefully advancements in technology. So those are some of the things we do in the Treasurer's Office. We came in just a little over 100 days ago. Treasurer Summers just really sort of set the standard of coming here 2 hours after getting sworn in. It's taken me over 100 days to get here. But I told you I would come. So let's talk about some of the things we have done. On our first day in office, we knew that we needed to know where we stood, so we identified where we're going to begin. And our first action was to conduct an audit of the office. We wanted to bring in a team of experts for a top-to-bottom review on how the office was functioning. We wanted to make sure that we were spending our money efficiently and delivering our services effectively in the state. Now, we also didn't want to spend a lot of money. So we found a good corporate citizen who decided to donate their time and talents to hopefully help make our state better. And I cannot thank Plant Moran enough for your services. We have a few members of Plant Moran here today. Thank you very much for your help. The report and performance review revealed some strengths and opportunities in the State Treasurer's Office. It also flagged some inherited challenges, and we're reviewing all of those. Such reports draw more than draw a line in the sand between a treasurer and their predecessor. When done right, they can be a powerful tool to make us do our jobs better. And with Plant Moran's help, I think that's what we've done. But I want to look forward, not backward. I'm more interested in working with people than pointing fingers, of setting the proper expectations on how the Treasurer's Office will serve the residents of our state. And that's also the other action on our first day in office, was to enact an employee Bill of Rights, to clearly state what is and what is not acceptable behavior in the Treasurer's Office, especially when it comes to politics and elections. Now, we want to increase investment in Illinois, and we want to do it in a way that promotes diversity. And that's why we included in our, as a new weighted evaluation criteria in our first request for proposal. Bidders seeking to manage our 529 college savings plans will earn points if they're Illinois-based and embrace diversity through employing minorities, women, persons with disabilities, and veterans. So we are not done. There is much more left to do. And that's what gets us excited every day to come into the office. Now, as you know, our state spends a lot of money. But believe it or not, we make money in the Treasurer's office. Each year, we bring in approximately $750 million into the state. For every $1 appropriated to the Treasurer's office, we return $28 to the state. Because we know that this is important. Every dollar we're able to make for the state is a dollar the General Assembly doesn't have to raise in taxes, or a dollar they don't have to make in painful cuts to essential services. Now, I know by law that the office is required to pursue a cautious investment approach. And that's why, as a certified public finance officer, our primary focus is the preservation of capital. But what I think is often overlooked in the Treasurer's office is the different ways our office can help with our state's human capital. How we can help invest in our people and provide people the tools to invest in themselves. Now, my investment team makes investments with a time horizon as long as 5 years and as short as overnight. But what I want my team to focus on is the results our actions are going to have on the state 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, 50 years down the road. Now, I don't know if we passed out many copies of our roadmap. I see there are some on the table in front of you. When you open it up, one of the first pictures you'll see is my daughter. Now, we include her in there, not just because I think she's wonderful. As a proud father, I'm allowed to do that. But hopefully as a reminder to people in our office and people who read this, that what we're trying to do with this office is to make lasting impacts that are going to benefit not just her, but millions of young people in this state just like her. So that's what we're trying to do. We try and remember. We want to make sure that everyone has the tools they need to go to college. We make sure they have the access to capital to start and grow a business, the security to raise a family, and the ability when they're done, when they choose to stop working, to retire with dignity. Success, of course, is what we all want for ourselves, for our family, for our loved ones. Achieving dreams begins with setting high expectations. It begins with investing in people. And that's why the 529 college savings plans are a great place to start. So I'm in the first generation of my family to go to college. My parents just graduated from high school. My 4 grandparents all dropped out in grammar school to work on the farm. Now, I remember when I received my acceptance letter from Yale. I remember my father's reaction. He said, "Congratulations, you're not going." to which petulant 17-year-old Mike's response was, "What do you mean I'm not going?" He said, "We can't afford it." He said that without even looking at the bill. Didn't look at how much it was. He just knew that we were a working class family and we couldn't afford something like that. You know, thanks to scholarships and Pell Grants and jobs during school and what sure seemed like a mountain of student debt, I was able to graduate. But my story is not unique. And as you've seen tuition costs rising year after year, it's become all too common of a story for too many families. Too many families fear that their dream to send their children to college is slipping away, out of their grasp. I know that through our office, we can help those families. Anyone, not just a parent, can open a college savings account. And you can open one for as little as $25. There are no monthly requirements, no automatic payroll deductions required, no withdrawals from your accounts. And these plans are easy to start. And they play an important role in setting the expectation that the dream of college graduation can be realized. Now, this is important. A study out of Washington University showed that if a young person knows they have a college savings account set up in their name, they are 7 times more likely to graduate from college. Now, think about that for a moment. If a child knows that they have a college savings plan in their name, they're 7 times more likely to attend college. And if they know that someone has invested in them, they take that investment more seriously, and they apply themselves more in school. Conversely, when you tell a child that there's no way they can afford college, too many of them give up on that dream, and too many of them give up in high school. A college savings plan literally can be life-changing. Now, previous administrations made the decision that marketing dollars for Bright Start and Bright Direction would focus on investment brokers and money managers. Now, Illinois is not unique in that approach. But if you can afford an investment advisor, chances are you are in a position to save for college. But I have a better idea. Investment brokers and money managers already know these plans exist. But you know who doesn't know these plans exist? Those who feel the dream of attending college is slipping away. These families also most likely do not know that the threshold to opening an account is so low, or the account can be used for trade school, or that the beneficiary, the child, need not be related to the person who opened the account. If a college savings plan makes it 7 times more likely that a kid attends college, we must do a better job of introducing these plans to more families, to parents who never considered college a possibility for their children, to organizations who work with children to make sure their future is bright. If a person knows that they have a college savings account, I have to believe it will also help them stay in high school and graduate. College and technical schools do more than impart specific skills. A college degree or a technical school certificate shows employers that these workers know how to learn. When a child is born, there are very few $25 investments that can pay a greater dividend. But we shouldn't stop there. As children grow, we must teach them the value of money. The Treasurer's Office once had a robust financial education program for our young people. And we need to reintroduce financial education programs, especially to our youth. Doing so will impart the value of working hard, saving, and investing. At an early age, we can set the expectation that dreams can be realized if we work hard, have a plan, and save our money. At an early age, we set the expectation that a high school diploma is not enough, that college is part of the plan, that a parent's achievement can be their child's floor, not their ceiling. Better decision-making can lead to meaningful work, to starting a business. Through our banking partners, we provide low-interest loans through linked deposits. One of our more successful programs is Ag Invest, where we help farmers with access to capital for operating costs, for equipment purchases, and construction-related expenses. Today, there are more than 550 loans on the books, drawing from $68 million. Since Ag Invest was started with our lending partners, we've helped family farmers access more than $1 billion in loans. Access to capital and meaningful work can lead to a retirement with dignity and security. And I think a lot of people realize this is a growing problem in our country. And that's why last fall, the General Assembly passed Secure Choice Retirement. Now, Secure Choice will create retirement accounts with automatic payroll deduction for workers whose employers do not offer that savings tool currently. 86% of small employers do not offer a retirement plan to their workers, according to a U.S. Government Accountability Office report. Many of these workers are just not saving for retirement. It's not these workers don't know the importance of saving. They do. It's a problem of inertia. They just don't get around to it. Something else comes up, like other priorities, like raising a family, like planning for a vacation. The intent is there, but it's a perpetual item on the to-do list because it keeps getting pushed down as other priorities keep popping up. At companies that do offer retirement plans, do you know why the participation rate is so high? Because it is. It's around 85%. It's because it's easy. It's just part of the hiring process. Here you are. Here's your tax forms. Here's your W-2. Here's your emergency contact list. And here is your new retirement plan. Today, more than half of the workers in Illinois do not have access to an employer-based retirement plan. And 1/3 of Illinois retirees will rely on Social Security for 90% of their retirement income. 90%. Do you know what the average annual Social Security check is? Just over $15,000 a year. Standard poverty for a single head of household, just around $12,000 a year. This is not something people would choose. This is not a retirement with dignity. We've got to do something about this. It happens, though, precisely because not enough people plan for retirement, And that's why implementing secure choice is so important. College savings, financial education, access to capital, secure choice. 4 programs that can help our families succeed and achieve the American dream. Today, I just want to leave you with this. At its core, the Treasurer's Office is an investment office, but it invests in people. When we invest in people, people invest in themselves. Everyone should have a chance to go to college. It is part of the American dream. Everyone should have a chance to work or start a business, to purchase a home, to retire with dignity, and to see their children go through that same cycle, so they too can achieve the American dream. And that's what I want to accomplish with this office, to make sure that everyone knows that the tools to achieve the American dream are still within their reach, if they work hard for it. Thank you very much for inviting me here today to the City Club. I look forward to taking your questions. Hola, Pablo.
Mr. Lundy, we got Stella and Dave. You probably heard of them. They were a rock and roll team many years ago. More coming in.
More coming.
Okay, question number 1. By the way, we're not making up. This is one of the great debates we ever had. I forgot the guy you're running against. We don't talk about it. City Club doesn't deal with losers. But that was one of the great debates. If you were here for that, I had a class here, and they talked about it. It was the fight Saturday night didn't measure up. All right, here we go. Stella Black, with the needs of small business being more short-term than long, what are your thoughts on a business line of credit program similar to AG Invest?
Ag Invest.
Ag Invest. Champaign County, he knows that.
It's not the Attorney General Invest. The Attorney short for agriculture. Yes, so it's something I grew up with. Ag Invest is important because many people don't know agriculture is the #1 industry in Illinois. If you look at all of agriculture, it's big downstate. And it was important to me growing up. My dad grew up on a farm. He grew up on a dairy farm. And for those of you who don't know, if you grew up on a dairy farm, you never have a day off. Cows need to be milked every day. So my dad never took vacations growing up as a kid. So when I wanted to go off east to school, he just didn't understand why someone would want to leave their family. What's that? Or their cows. Yeah, the cows get really upset when you leave them for too long. So Ag Invest has been a great way to get capital to an important industry where they need it. But small businesses are also one of the largest job creators in the state. And so that's something we are looking at as well. We're working with our lending partners. Because we've looked, and over the last couple of decades, there have been somewhere around 45 different linked deposit accounts or rebranding of previous linked deposit accounts. Now, that can be a little confusing when there's a bunch of different things to sell. And our partners in banking, we want to make it easier for them. But we also think that we can do something to help our small businesses. There have been deposits like that in the past. So we're reviewing, but the real reason there aren't a lot of loans being put into banks to be used that way is because with interest rates this low, it is really difficult for the state of Illinois to offer any sort of discount. When Treasury notes you're getting 50 basis points, you just can't offer much of a discount there because we're not going to give away money with the money that we invest. But thank you for that question, Stella.
Okay. By the way, if that was AG Invest for Attorney General, it'd have a good chance of being funded. All right. What? Okay, Dave Lundy, trying to make a comeback. Aileron? Legit? Yeah. Okay. Can you talk about the prospects for Bright Start, given its difficult, what a sandbag. Given its difficult past, will parents get what they were expecting? Also, what is Bright Directions?
Great. It's good to be here at open mic night at the City Club. Hey, if he can tell jokes, I try them too. So this is an important question because a lot of people get confused about Bright Start, Bright Direction, and a lot of people confuse it with College Illinois. So I want you to know the Treasurer's Office manages the 529 college savings accounts. Illinois Student Assistance Commission manages College Illinois. And I think both of them have been in the news, but College Illinois is the one that I think has the larger funding problems. think of the 529 plans as your 401k. When you get ready to retire, you have as much money in there as you put in, and you've been able to make in terms of interest growth. Think of the College of Illinois as a defined benefit plan, that you know what your benefit's going to be, you're told how much to put in. In the case of the 529 plans, the families assume the risk. If the stock market tanks, if they make bad investments and they lose money, it's their fault. If they put money into College of Illinois and the stock market tanks, well, then the state or the universities have to make up the difference. And so College of Illinois is a program that has had some concerns. The 529 plans, just like in 2008, just like everyone's investments, those plans lost money. What they've also seen is a great return on investment. Now, I sometimes, when I get my Bright Start accounts or letters that I set up for my daughter, I feel like a genius. I must be a financial genius because my daughter was born in October of 2008, and we started putting in a lot of money in February of 2009, about at the bottom of the market. So in my daughter's account, we've had about 100% return on investment. But I don't recommend market timing. My daughter got lucky.
Okay. Dave Gilbert, where are you, Dave? Okay, good. Longtime Illinois operative. Mike, would you support tax increases of any kind to help bail Illinois out of the financial mess it is in? If so, which one? And we also had someone, the Abe Lincoln style, on the back of a thing. We don't read unsigned questions. You got to stand up for your question. However,
I'll still answer it.
as I said, there are exceptions. Do you support a graduated income tax? You got 3 years, you got almost 4 years, so you can deal with it.
So the answer is fairly easy on do you support the graduate income tax. In my time in the Illinois State Senate, I supported a constitutional amendment to allow the people of the state to decide if they want to amend their constitution to allow for graduated tax rates. Now, that didn't pass, and so that is not on the table for revenue this year, but I still support that for whoever asked the question. But in terms of balancing this budget this year, that is something up to the General Assembly and the governor. And I served in the state Senate for 8 years, and the one thing I can say I'm most looking forward to this summer is having a summer to actually take a little time with my family. Because I'm not sure the General Assembly is going to get that. I think it's going to be a long, hot summer before they can reach an agreement. I came in 2007, and that was the year it took us until mid-August to finally pass a budget. And I see similar things working right now. But I was talking with Eric Whitaker earlier today. For those of you who don't know, you might have guessed, I grew up playing a team sport. And in that team sport, my coaches told me, your job is not to dribble the ball. Your job is not to shoot three-pointers. Your job is to stand under the basket and rebound and score within the paint. And so as state treasurer, I'm very much aware we're all of a team. Elected officials, we may not all see the state the same way. We hopefully all share the same goal of getting the state moving in the right direction. And I think that if we play that role well in the treasurer's office, we can help in the immediate future. By making smart investments that get a good return, that helps make the General Assembly's job easier. If we can make investments that help grow our tech industry and create more jobs and good paying jobs, those people will be paying more in income taxes that will make it easier for the General Assembly. And if we make smart investments long-term so that more kids are staying in school, graduate from college, and they have access to capital to start companies, in the long run, that's going to make our state stronger. We didn't get into these problems overnight. We didn't get into them over 1 year. It took a while to get into them. It's going to take us a while to get out. But I don't think there's anything wrong with this state that can't be solved by what's right with the state. And as I traveled all around this state for the last probably 2 years, I've seen an awful lot of hardworking people who want to succeed, and we want to help give them the tools to do that.
Still can tap dance, can he? Okay. Sorry, Stella. Last question, and you're happy about this, and I'm not going to be asking anymore. Ron Blaustein, where are you, Ron? Uh-oh. You asked a lot of questions. How is the liability side of the financial statements managed relative to assets? Debt versus investments. Pension assets versus pension liabilities. You running for office? Our guy can answer those questions.
Our guy can attempt to answer those questions. So I'm the Chief Investment Officer for the state of Illinois. But in order to make sure that funds don't go missing, we have segregated a lot of financial decision parts of the process to different offices. The question I'm surprised I didn't get, because it's probably the question I get asked second most often. The question I get asked most often, the answer is 6'8". The question I get asked second most often is, what do you think about merging the Comptroller's and the Treasurer's office? And that's a good question. We had a nice debate up here last fall about this, although we both agreed on that we think we can merge the offices, we can save money doing that. But these offices, because it's the last question, we've got a little bit of time here, we'll get a little bit of history lesson. Back in the 1950s, Illinois had an auditor of public accounts. He was able to invest money in banks, and he was able to write checks, and because he was able to have all these different financial functions underneath him, he absconded with about $1.2 million from the state.
Who knows his name?
There we go.
You're with a quick
See,
crowd.
this is a good crowd. Orville Hodge, that's the 1950s dollars. $1.2 million is a lot of money. So the founders of our 1970 Constitution decided we need to have some checks and balances in place. We need to have internal controls in place. And so what they did is they separated some of the functions into the Treasurer and Comptroller. Now, I think you can merge them today. And I think you can perhaps segregate some of the responsibilities in these offices, and perhaps after you merge them, in order to maintain some checks and balances, give some of the responsibilities to the governor's office, give some of the responsibilities to the Secretary of State's office, give some responsibilities to our Auditor General, and you'll still have internal controls in place with one less office and saving some money for the state. Now, I give you this background because in terms of pensions, we have 5 public pensions in the state, and the 2 largest ones I have no say over. Now, they're the teacher's retirement system, the Treasurer has no seat on, and the state university retirement system. Now, but that doesn't mean there's nothing we can do to help out with those pension systems. I'm working with Treasurer Summers on legislation down in Springfield to tackle one of the issues, the question of fees. We want to make these fees more public. We want people to know what they're getting and what they're paying. And we think if we do that and we shed some more sunlight, we believe you're going to bring some of those fees down. Now, fees alone aren't going to solve our pension problem, because just as I said earlier, we got into this mess not over 1 year, not over 10 years. Getting back to our state constitution, the reason we have a strong pension protection clause in the state constitution is because back in the 1960s, our public employee pensions were funded at around 40% ratio. And they said something needs to be done to get these general assemblies to do their job and make their payments, make their annual required contributions. And they said, if we put it into the Constitution that you have to pay these benefits, then surely they will put the money in to meet that obligation. Well, so every now and then someone has a good idea that doesn't pan out. You've got to revisit. And so in terms of pension liabilities, yes, we're trying to make investments in our pension system. So contributions are part of it. Investment growth is part of the solution. But there's going to have to be a dialogue about making sure our pension system is properly funded. And I think that works best when you get all interested parties to the table. Because I think that the state Supreme Court is going to rule on the most recently passed pension reform soon. And I think they've sort of tipped their hand that if they don't strike it down completely, at least large portions of it will be, and we'll be back to the drawing board. And then to tap dance some more, I'd say that I think that once again, we have great people in this state. We have smart people who care about our future. I used to represent Champaign-Urbana, home to a little college. And a lot of my former constituents, as a state senator, had public employee pensions. And they would come to me and say, we realize we have a problem. We want to be part of the solution. We're willing to make sacrifices, but we want to be part of that discussion. We don't want them just imposed upon us. And we don't want to be the only solution. And so I think in a very long, roundabout way, I am not the chief financial officer of the state of Illinois. We have split that up between the comptroller, the treasurer, and the governor. We're the chief investment officer, and we don't control all the pensions, but we're doing the things we can. And I'll just end by saying, by working together, elected officials. We're all in this together. If we work together, we can solve our problems, and that's what we try and do. I have a great team out here. I kind of inadvertently thanked them earlier in the speech for the help they provide to me. But as the treasurer, you get to stand up front of here and you get to give speeches. And I get to practice these speeches, and I get to talk to all of you because I have confidence that my team that's out here today is making sure we actually really put these tools out there so that people can live the American dream. Now, it's been something important to my family. We want to make sure that we leave that for future generations as well. So if there are no further questions, and seeing none, thank you all very much for coming out here today.